What up, y'all? Shogun back again, giving y'all another piece of the One Piece of this chapter of the storyline. You know what it is. Let's get underway, everybody. So basically, One Piece chapter 604, Into the Depths, and this one doesn't have a color spread. I mean, excuse me, character spot where, you know, the last issues people Oda's been taking requests and he's been basically doing things for people. It's actually got a full color page spread of the crew in their entirety, and it's like they're walking on some weird place. I don't know, like some striped land or some shit, and you know, they're all having fun. Luffy has on Brook's crown, and Nami's sitting on top of Chopper and stuff. And, you know, they're all just enjoying stuff, just like one of those happy color page spreads. So yeah, we'll see if he keeps on doing that or if he goes back to the request. So as you guys remember, we are under the sea right now. The crew and the Thousand Sunny right now are deep into the ocean trying to make it to Mermaid Island, and basically they're saying it's getting darker and darker. Like, they're looking up and it's like, oh, it's getting darker and darker, and they're like, I wonder how far we've sunk, you know. And as they're going down, they see this big ass whale, and you know, Chopper, like, scared as ever. He's like, it's a whale, it's a whale. And then fucking Brook's like, Laboon, you know, he's like, Laboon. And then fucking Luffy's like, no, that's Old Man Whitebeard. So, you know, I guess they're trying to put the comedy in. I'm sure Luffy knew that Whitebeard's dead. I'm pretty sure. I'm not sure if he knows or not, but I'm pretty sure. I don't want to say I'm positive, but I'm pretty sure. And as you see that, you see Caribou's fucking crew coming up from behind really fucking fast, and he's basically talking shit, like, you know, I want to destroy their ship, you know, I'm gonna kill them and everything like that. And as he's coming in, you know, Usopp notices him, and he's like, oh, I see something at 6 o'clock. Is it a sea monster? And he's like, oh no, look, something's shooting straight towards us. And they're like, a ship? And as the ship comes blazing by, it starts rubbing against the Straw Hat ship, and like the bubbles like are touching, and you know, they think it's getting ready to pop or something, and then you just see Caribou jump in the fucking bubble. So I guess if the bubbles are touching or they're aligning or rubbing against each other, you can go through one to another without there being any water altercations where you get caught in the water and shit. And as they're doing that, you know, Caribou jumps in the fucking Thousand Sunny, and then Nami's like, hey, you remember me? Because when the ship that's actually being carried, the reason why it's going so fast, there's like a beast that's moving with it, and you know, it's like a cow type of big ass fish, and Nami's looking at it, and it's like, hey, do you remember me? You're Momu, or yeah, Momu from Arlong's crew, aren't you? And you guys remember the fucking cow shit that Luffy and Sanji destroyed and shit. And at first he looks at Nami and doesn't really remember Nami, and then he looks at Sanji and fucking Luffy's like, oh shit, like he gets all scared because remember Luffy and Sanji kicked the shit out of the fucking that thing, remember, back in the Arlong arc and shit. So the fucking Momu gets fucking scared as shit and just blazes off after seeing Luffy and them. And as he does that, like, that's as soon as Caribou jumps on the ship. So Caribou jumps on the ship and everything, and he's all like, you guys are dumbfounded, we're gonna kill every last one of you and everything like that. Get on the ship, everybody. Like, he's telling everybody to jump on and shit, like they're ransacking the ship and everything. And as he does that, Momu and his crew go blazing off, and you know, he's just basically talking shit to him, and he's like, let's slaughter all the Straw Hats. And then he looks back and he sees that his ship's done passed by, and he has like this stupid fucking shocked face. Like, you guys remember when fucking Enel, God, when he first met Luffy, and he did, you know, like the 20,000 volts, you know, 30,000 volts, and Luffy was just standing there picking his nose and shit, and then he did like the 100,000 volts, and Luffy's still standing there, he just has that dumb look, like, you know, eyes popping out and everything. That's exactly the fucking face he reminded me of. Like, as soon as I saw that face, that shit reminded me of Enel. That shit was so hilarious. So he has this dumbfound fucking look on his face, and fucking Frankie picks his ass up, and he's walking towards like the side, like he's getting ready to throw him out. He's like, no, please please don't throw me out. You know, he's saying all this like trying to put God in it. God's watching you. You know, you don't do such a bad thing. And then it's fucking Frankie just throws him, you know, onto the side and shit. And then, you know, Zoro's like, who the hell are you anyway, right? You're the captain of that shit that just went by, right? And then he's like, oh shit, Zoro, you know? So he's heard a lot about Zoro and how badass he is, and he knows he doesn't want to fuck with him. And well, now, of course, back when he was on his ship with all his crewmates, he was acting hard as shit. But now, you know, fucking seeing these guys in the face, he's pretty fucking scared, you know. And he's all like, no, they've just been abusing me and, you know, using me as a human bullet and shit. And he's like, please, I'm so sick of being on that ship. Please, I'm begging you, don't do anything. And then Chopper's silly self is like, hey, this guy might actually be a bit of a victim. And then Usopp's like hell he is. He's saying that to save his life and shit, you know. And then Nami begins to ask him the sea cow. Nami's like, who's that sea cow that was pulling your ship? And then he's like, oh my, what a cutie pie, you must be the cat burglar Nami. And then Sanji just kicks the shit out of him. Like, you know, shut the hell up, you know. And, you know, people were trying to speculate like, oh man, Sanji has hockey, or, you know, he was able to kick him and stuff. I'm not sure. They haven't said anything, but it was just a joke, you know, because you know how Sanji is, and maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. We don't know yet for sure. It's not solid, but we will definitely see. And he basically kicks the shit out of him. Then he turns and looks at Nami. He's like, Nami, everything's fine. And boom, he fucking nosebleeds again. Which it's funny, but it's starting to get played out. Like it's always good seeing Sanji like that, but you know it's definitely kind of starting to get played out. He can't be doing this throughout the whole, you know, new world. So something's definitely gonna happen. I don't think Oda's gonna have Sanji always doing this, because he'll fucking die of blood loss, losing that much blood that fast and then regaining it because Chomper's pumping blood back at him and shit like that. And he basically says how Momu was caught in the vicinity, you know, and how he's better at, you know, advanced sea navigation and shit like that, and how they move really fast and shit. And basically Nami starts explaining that they're heading the right direction now after they rubbed against them, because if they would have went in the wrong path, they would have, you know, got collided because of the tides and shit that were going around basically. And as, you know, Luffy basically asks, he's like, why won't it be faster if we go in a straight line, you know, because Nami was saying it was good that they were going in the wrong direction. And then, you know, it starts getting colder as they start getting deeper, and Brook's like, everyone, I think I'm starting to feel a bit chilly, and then he's about to say it, and then Chopper's like, but you don't have any skin. And then, you know, Brook's all sad because like they know his jokes and shit like that. And as Nami's basically explaining to them that about the whole currents and how there's high currents and deep currents specifically, and she's basically giving a more detailed thing about the underwater and about undersea and how it works. As they get deeper, it gets colder as they're riding the currents and basically stuff like that. And they're basically trying to figure out what's going on. And as they're saying it, like they're saying like they're gonna go into like the deep depths where there's ghosts and shit like that, like stuff. And Chopper gets all scared, like he's like, oh, in the depths it's gonna be ghosts and stuff. And Luffy's like, oh, you know, I'm so excited. And Nami's like, well, I don't know about that, but you know, it's definitely gonna have some crazy things in there. And you can see it's starting to get really cold. Everybody's starting to like throw on a jacket. And Nami starts explaining how the red line is basically an assembly of adjointed islands, which is weird. I thought it was just this one, you know, big ass fucking thing that went around like the whole world or some shit. But she explains how it's like a bunch of islands, and how you know, there's different temperatures in each one. And as they're explaining that, you know, Luffy and Zoro are trying to understand. And you know, she's like, as she's explaining it, she's like, do you really want to know? It's about salinity or something like that, salinity, which I'm not sure, but in Japanese reference I know it's it's a joke towards like a game or a fire sword. And as she's trying to explain to them more, Luffy's like, "Oh, I used to play that game all the time, Salinity." And then Zoro's like, "I always wanted a fire sword, you know." So Nami's like, she's like, "Shut up, just stay over there, you know, and be quiet while I'm trying to explain." And as they're over there, then they have this little detail as to what's going on. She's like, Luffy and Zoro Luffy asks Zoro, he's like, "So Zoro, how far did you get blown away?" And then Zoro's like, "Well, let me explain." So, you know, it's like they're trying to show us that, but at the same time they're not. But it's still good that, because, you know, we all know where they went, but they don't know where they went. Each of them went yet. So, you know, hopefully they'll tell each other, or they'll explain it sometimes. And, you know, she's basically just trying to understand it. Everybody's acting stupid. And then as they're riding, they start reaching that current, the big deep current and shit. And then everybody's like, what is that, you know? And then they're like, it's a that's supposed to be a current. But then as they see it, it's this fucking huge ass waterfall, like this giant waterfall. Like, it's fucking crazy. It's like an undersea waterfall. So it's like the water. And yeah, I know I said waterfall like a million times. If I can get $1 for every time I said waterfall, but it's a waterfall that goes down. That's how crazy it is. It's a waterfall that goes down, and then like it's undersea. But it's weird. I'm definitely gonna have to watch the anime to see how that works, because it's definitely interesting. And, you know, they're all like, "Oh shit, that's awesome," and stuff. And then they're like, "We can't even see the bottom to this waterfall and shit," you know. And fucking Caribou's like, "Hey, Straw Hats," he's like, "turn back immediately. This is terrible." He's like, "You know, I've never heard of anybody living in a place like this," you know. So he's extremely scared, you know. He's like, "Turn back now," and shit. And they can't even see the bottom, like it's so dark. And as they get lower and lower, then they're like, "What is that?" And then he's all like, "Oh shit, you know, it's a kraken, like a fucking kraken." Like, it's awesome that Oda is using references towards, you know, like the old pirate age and stuff like that, where he's starting to reference these things in, which is really cool. And it's this big ass fucking octopus squid thing, and it has like two, three ships. Like, it's like crushed in beneath them, and it's fucking gigantic. Like, the Thousand Sunny looks like a fly to that thing, and everybody's fucking shitless scared. And fucking he's all like, you know, "Where did it come from? It's usually not here. Like, we should go to another place, you know." And then Luffy's like, "You're noisy, shut up." And he's like, "I got a good idea. I'm gonna tame that little guy." And that is the end, as it ends with One Piece will be on break. So we're not getting the next issue next week, fellas. I know it's terrible. This chapter didn't have a lot of things that were really, you know, anything big. Maybe the Kraken will become a big part later. Maybe Caribou will become a larger part later. We're definitely gonna have to see where this goes. But, you know, it was a solid chapter. It wasn't a great chapter. It wasn't a terrible chapter. It was a solid chapter. It was a great read. I'm definitely excited to see what's gonna happen next week. Fisherman Island, hopefully. We're gonna have to see. But yeah, guys, that's it for this chapter. Shogun once again giving the reviews to you guys. You know how it is. Please try to subscribe. Give me the word. You know, put out the word for people. You know, if my reviews are having any problems, or if I'm doing something, or if you guys want to see more of anything, basically, you know, contact me. Tell me what I should do. You know, I'm always down for the support. I always listen to you know, what everybody has to say. So this is Shogun once again, 604, and I'll see you guys again for 605. Peace.